In this video, we're going to explore the Virtual Lab tool in Simphy. Simply select the Virtual Lab tool from the menu bar, and you'll see a pop-up experiment table. This window consists of two sections. The left one is a table for recording the data of experiments, and the right one is for its corresponding graph. You can hide either of the sections from these arrow keys. Notice these 5 tools at the bottom of the table. The first one is to add more rows. The second one is to delete the selected rows as shown. The next 2 tools are dedicated for importing or exporting the data. That is, you can import the data from the already created CSV file, or you can export the data of experiment you performed, to let's say study the experiment or make further changes. The last one is for settings, consisting of table and graph settings, which we'll understand with the help of an experiment. Consider a simulation of a pendulum, where the goal is to find the relation between time period and length of the pendulum. Now go to the table settings to create the table for our experiment. Here, header text represents heading of each column. ID represents a variable associated to each column. Let the first column be serial number, and change the other columns to time, number of oscillations, length of the pendulum and time period. Since we want to update data into time column, oscillations column and length column, keep the formula row blank for them. Serial number will update itself as a natural number, according to its formula, which is n. Time period will also update itself, once you divide time by number of oscillations, hence its formula will be b by c. Leave format column as it is for now and hit the apply button. We're done with the table settings. Now use the graph settings to set the x-axis as time period and y-axis as length, since we want the graph to be length versus time period. Also, calibrate the first row by setting the time as 0, oscillations as a non-zero value and length as 0. Now click on the distance joint and change its length by 0.5 units for each measurement from the properties table, and simultaneously update the length in the table. Now play the simulation, and count the oscillations. You can increase the simulation speed to speed up the experiment. Pause after 10 oscillations or more. Notice the time elapsed from the bottom right corner and update it in the table, along with the number of oscillations. Repeat the procedure 9 or 10 times. Observe that the graph is curved upwards. Now, from the table settings, change the time period column to square of time period as shown. And from the graph settings, plot the same on x-axis. Notice that the slope is much closer to the ideal value 0.25, which can be calculated as shown. Hope you got an idea of how to use the Virtual Lab tool in Simphy.